Three good bits, three bad bits. In a nutshell, about a destination. It's three bits.
Oh, hi. Welcome back to 3 Bits. Moroccan double bill bonanza. For every yin, there must be a yang. For every camel ride and tasty tagine, there is a power cut or aggressive henna tattoo lady. Zzz. The last time we hit you up with 3 of our favourite elements of Morocco. If you haven't seen that, check the link. Now it's time for our 3 not so favourite highlights. Whether it be the aforementioned crazy henna woman that ran up to Julia and hand assaulted her, children selling directions, or 5 different stall owners shouting at you simultaneously trying to get you to try their munch, you have to be ready for every haggle and hustle in the book.
At first, what is a novelty can soon become incredibly tedious. 80% of purchases in the Medina's Old Town, for those who haven't watched part 1, come with some sort of negotiation. Even basics like water, fruit, snacks. This isn't a place where being overly flashy will do you any favors either. So being low-key but assertive is the best way of handling the Medinas.
Babe, talking of which, do you know what time it is?
No.
Pro tip time! So don't have your phone out too much in the Medinas. Try and have a rough understanding of where you're going before you set out of your riad.
Remember how many rights and lefts you have before you arrive at your destination. And if the teenagers think you have Google Maps open, they will often hound you until you politely tell them to piss off.
Also, don't settle for the first product you see. If you're in the market for anything specific, like leather goods or homeware, then do the rounds and compare your options. Prices and quality do vary. Don't be afraid to walk away. There were multiple times when, after some intense bargaining, we would walk away without settling on a specific price, only to be called back to the seller agreeing our final offer. Ka-ching! Finally, a trick to pull for all you SWAT level hagglers is to split your money up into different denominations. The more pockets, the better. As an example, say a wallet costs 150 dirham, but you empty your pocket only pulling out a single 100 dirham note, explaining it's your last day and this is all the cash you have left. It can work wonders. Just don't forget which amounts are in which pockets. Unless your name is Electro or Tony Stark, you might run into some electricity and Wi-Fi issues during your travels. Much like the Blueprint 2, I find this a gift and a curse. It hugely hinders working remotely, as we both experienced in our first few days, but it can also be fantastic switching off from emails and social media and taking in your surroundings absolutely completely in its entirety. This was especially lovely in the desert, where obviously high-speed internet isn't expected and is actually something worth considering on future trips. Turn off and tune in. Afternoons on flight mode only, perhaps.
Yeah, when we first arrived in Casablanca, there was a power cut at our hotel. A poor woman was literally stuck in an elevator and people were walking around the lobby aimlessly like it was an apocalypse. Luckily, we hadn't checked in yet and we were able to change hotels. Hallelujah.
There are a few ways in which you can hack the system, so to say. There are SIM cards sold at all the main airports and data is dead cheap. As long as you've got an unlocked phone, they should work no problem. You can also top up online. Best to ask a local for help, as we did run into some language difficulties. Your signal can also dip sporadically, but hotspotting from our phones to laptops was crucial when we were doing any sustained internet tasks, such as Skyping over video, because the Wi-Fi was so unreliable.
When you do have power, make sure to charge all of your devices. That way, if you do find yourself with a power cut or on a 10-hour plus daytime bus journey, you'll have backup. One decent trick that Seb's brother used was he was carrying a huge mobile charger that had different ports to charge many different devices. And if you want to carry something lighter, I also recommend to carry a universal plug that has multiple USB connectors. So you can charge up to like 4 devices simultaneously.
The streets are tight, the walls are thin. If you have claustrophobia, you should consider to begin. Toddlers will try and sell you tissues, teenagers will try and give you directions, and middle-aged men can get aggressive if you don't go to their mother's restaurant.
That all being said, in hindsight, I would say that it's all part of the culture of the Medinas. There are more intense cities than others though. And for a quick rough guide, we would say, number 1, Marrakesh. Totally bananas crazy. Something everyone should experience once, but not for the faint-hearted. The most aggressive place on the list, personally. Stay next to your partner at all times. I did watch many different YouTube videos and read so many different blogs, and I thought I'd be really safe. However, I didn't feel safe and unfortunately did experience some harassment. So please try to travel with a group of people, always be aware of your surroundings, and never walk the streets alone.
Number 2, Casablanca. It doesn't really count as we only spent 2 nights here and we didn't go out a huge amount. Didn't do too much exploring. Not that there is much need to be honest. But if you are a solo female, along with the majority of Morocco, I wouldn't recommend walking the streets here alone. And we're getting considerably calmer now. The Marrakesh kind of vibe is dialed down by about 60%. It's not without its quirks, but less crowded, less aggressive. You will obviously still have to haggle, and some people can be full on, but comparatively to Marrakesh,
ain't nothing but a thing.
Merzouga, or the Sahara Desert. It's totally and completely peaceful, a breath of fresh desert air. It was definitely worth the 13-hour bus ride that we made, and the bright hot sun was shining on the dunes with camels all around, and it just made an incredible experience. Number 5. So listen up, here's the story about a little blue. We only spent 1 night here, but it's completely gorgeous. It's in the north of Morocco. The entire city is blue. Not more I can say.
Well, it's more blue than the Smurfs village. Papa would be proud.
Believe me, it's not makeup or paint.
So, to recap the last 2 episodes, our first favourite element has to be Morocco's incredibly diverse landscape.
Including the desert. Even though it is far from the cities, it's worth it.
Our third favourite bit of Morocco is all the fresh and incredible food.
Our 3 negatives start with how tiresome haggling is.
Secondly, the regularly infuriating power cuts and lack of internet service.
And finally, the safety of travelers. So
there we go. That is our double bill Moroccan extravaganza done. I hope you enjoyed it for our first ever double bill. And yeah, until next time.